Hi there, welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is related to nutrition, and it was requested to me by a friend who asked me just basics for reading food labels. So I thought it's a great, fantastic question. I just take for granted that most people know how to do this because I went to school to know how to do this, and I'm very cognizant of it, so I figured most people were. But to those of you who aren't, or maybe you could learn one or two little things in this video, that would be great. So let's start off by the labels. So the labels, basically what is on front of the packages, whatever item it is, whatever is on front of that package is basically determined by the company that has manufactured that product. So it's basically their advertisement. So when you see things like fortified with all these vitamins, enriched with this, and a great source of this, or grain fed, these animals, or this product is grain fed, or so it's all confusing. So to make sense of it, you have to understand that what's labeled on that product is that company is trying to get you in. So sometimes those claims are not 100%. So, I mean, they're not allowed to lie about things that are in it or not in it, but sometimes it's misleading, put it that way. So to the untrained eye, it is very misleading. So a lot of people think they're eating healthy and they're not eating healthy. And I do blame a lot of it on advertising, on packaging, the way products are marketed. So it's not really your fault. So keep that in mind every time you see a product. What's being displayed on it is not regulated. It's them, tooting their own horn or trying to get you to buy something or trying to trick you into thinking it's healthy when it's not. So number one. So again, I've made some notes just in case I forget, in case you see me looking down. So let's start off with the front of the label. Now let's go to the nutritional label. So you can't judge a book by its cover. So you don't know by a product just because of the claims on the packaging. So the only way to know, we'll use this for example. The only way to know about this, it says it's high protein, it says it's high fiber, very high fiber. I'll be the judge of that. But anyway, the only way to know is to go to the side here. That was the French side. So in Canada, we have French and English. So the English side is nutritional facts. So we're going to go look at this nutritional label. So the first thing you want to do is you want to look at what a serving size is. Because what is listed here is for the serving size that you are consuming. So a serving size of this Kashi GoLean Chocolate Crunch is listed as 3/4 of a cup, or 50 grams. So all the facts that we read on the label are going to be for a serving, not for a box, not for a package, not for, well, it depends on the product. But for this particular product, it's for 3/4 of a cup as a serving. This I got at the dollar store just for shits and giggles, or chocolate covered pretzels. So this one has nutritional facts for the package. So this one is for the entire package. It doesn't mean that that's a proper serving for you to eat, but the facts are for the package. A lot of things are not for the package. These are some really great vegetable muffins that I've been buying, and this serving is for 78 grams. It doesn't say what that is. I'm assuming it's per muffin. And this is just some rice cakes that I had for 2 pieces. So 2 rice cakes. They give you all the information. So we're going to go back to this just for these purposes. So the serving size is the first thing you look at. So that is, so that if you're eating 2 serving sizes, you have to double whatever it is that is on the label here. So we have calories. A lot of people look at calories. People are obsessed with calories. I think most people know my stance on that. I am quality versus is more important than quantity. But that's me. So I want quality calories. I don't care about how many calories is in something. It won't stop me from eating it. It won't, I'm not a believer of calories in, calories out. It is definitely quality of calories. You will lose weight if that's what you're trying to do based on that method, but it's not, a lot of diets don't work, and that's one of the reasons I think is because people are so focused on calories, they're not looking at the quality of what they're eating or changing lifestyle, and that's a whole other video. So unit of energy that's what a calorie is. A calorie is a unit of energy. So something you may not know. So a lot of you look at fats, you look at carbs, you look at protein on ingredients. So 1 gram of carbs is equal to 4 calories. 1 gram of protein is equal to 4 calories, and 1 gram of fat is equal to 9 calories. So you will see that from now on, now that you know that, when you add up all the calories and then you see how many carbs of protein, how many grams of protein, how many grams of carbs, how many grams of fat, will add up to whatever the calorie value is for that serving size. So that's just a little interesting tidbit. So another thing we look at usually is fat. So per serving size, this has 7 grams of fat. So some people will think, wow, that's a lot of fat. But you have to look at what type of fat, because there are good fats and there are bad fats. So there are 4 types of fats. There are saturated fats. So that's like coconut oil or butter. Those are not all necessarily bad for you, especially those 2 that I mentioned in smaller quantities are not bad for you. There are good qualities to them, or good benefits to them. So there's saturated, there's unsaturated fat. There is polyunsaturated fat. There is monounsaturated fat. I'm so sorry. Polysaturated fat would be considered omega-3s and omega-6. So these are good fats. Omega-3 is a very good fat. Omega-6 is a little bit overrated. They add it to a lot of things and they market it, oh, chock full of omega-6. I have to break it to you, most of our diets are really already high in omega-6, so we don't really need extra omega-6, and omega-6 can cause inflammation in the body. So you have to be careful with omega-6, and again, it's like pretty much, compared to omega-3, it's like 20 to 1. 20 to 1, it's already in our food, but omega-3, they're both essential, but omega-6 is just everywhere, so I wouldn't even take a supplement of omega-6. It's just, there's too much of it in our diet, and again, it can cause inflammation. So omega-3 is the one that you want to be concerned with. Omega-3 you can find in wild salmon is a really good source of omega-3. Omega-3 is also found in some quantities in some nuts. You can get some omega-3 in there. Flax seeds have a lot of omega-3, so that's another good fat. The polyunsaturated fats are usually plant-based fats. So that would be like an avocado. I would have some nuts. Some nuts have them. Brazil nuts, I believe, have them. Walnuts have them. Almonds have them. And olive oil, which we know is good for us. So that's another fat. So it depends on the fat. Not all fats are created equally. This particular cereal I just happened to pick out has 1.5 saturated fat. Oh, I'm sorry. And the other fat that's listed on here is 0. The 4th fat and bad fat is trans fat. So trans fat, most people know is bad, but they don't know why. So trans fat has an hydrogen added to it. So it's hydrogenated. So anything you see listed as hydrogenated, there's other listings that might be under. I wrote them down. I'm sorry. I don't want to forget anything. It might be listed as shortening. It might be listed as hydrogenated oils, margarine, any kind of ingredient like that. It's hydrogenated. So they add a hydrogen to it. And that makes it like it causes cancer, and everybody knows that trans fats are bad. Everybody now knows trans fats are bad. So you want to avoid trans fats. The problem I have with trans fats is that a lot of foods, this doesn't say it on it, but it says it has 0 trans fat. But a lot of foods say 0 trans fat as a marketing scheme. They'll have it on outside. And it actually, I think the law in Canada is you can have up to 0.5 grams and say that there isn't any if it's 0.5 grams and less. The problem is that if you're eating, like, instead of 1 serving, if you're eating like 10 servings, you're now in the trans fat, you're getting trans fats now, right? So the fact that they put this on certain grocery items is very misleading, and it bugs me that they can do that, but they can do that. So if you're watching your trans fat, which you should be leery of that. So this particular thing, cereal says 0 trans fat. So those are the fats. Sodium and cholesterol are also 2 other things that people look at a lot. And I would suggest, if it's something that you know that you have health issues with, that you should be looking at those as well. So cholesterol, this has 0 cholesterol. This has 115 milligrams of sodium per serving. So a lot of people don't know what's a lot of sodium, what's not a lot of sodium. There's a kind of a rule of thumb that I do, that I don't know where I read this, but it actually always works out pretty good. So what I do is that sodium, for example, this has 115 milligrams of sodium. It has 200 calories per serving. Usually the sodium should be less than how many calories that serving has, and that's a pretty good gauge. Unless you're eating something crazy high calorie that has a lot of sodium in it, that's a pretty good gauge in case you don't know. Some items that have a lot of sodium in them, like that I used to consume a lot of and didn't even know, is soup. Years and years ago, I ate tons of soup thinking, you know, oh, this is good, because I was just looking at calories, this is low calorie, but it was tons of sodium, like, and so many foods add sodium. Most packaged foods have a lot of sodium. So if you have issues, especially with high blood pressure, or your doctor's told you to watch your sodium, you do have to watch sodium on your food labels, and cholesterol if that's an issue that you have. Carbohydrates. So people are obsessed with carbohydrates. Carbohydrates process in the body the same way fats do, in the sense that it's sugar. Like, carbohydrates are sugar, really. Carbohydrates are basically, I think of it as sugar, but there's good carbohydrates and there's bad carbohydrates. So when you're looking at a label and you're concerned with carbohydrates, because you might be one of these people that is following a low carb diet, or, you know, doing this new craze, whatever it is now, keto or whatever it is. So if you're doing the low carb and you're looking for low carb, so for example, this item for 3/4 cup has 31 grams of carbohydrates. I would say, I mean, depending on what, like for me, I'm not watching my carbs, so I would probably eat something like this more in the middle of the day instead of the end of the day, not too carb heavy, but I mean, it depends on how many, if you're counting carbs for whatever reason, if you're dieting or if you're on the keto. I'm not even sure what the amount of carbs that is allowed on keto. You might not even be able to have this, but a lot of people are looking at carbs. One thing that I found with weight loss, and again, it depends on what you're following, what diet you're following. But if I'm not sure about something, I can look at something and go, if I was, you know, not sure and I was following carbs, this is a good rule of thumb. So you look at the carbs. We'll use this example. Carbs are 31 grams. You have to look at the sugar. There's 10 grams of sugar. You have to look at the fiber, and you have to look at the protein. This is just to work out the carbs. If you're trying to figure out if it's a lot of carbs, if this is a good product, because it might have like a little bit of carbs in it or a substantial amount of carbs, but it might actually be good. In terms of carbs, and I don't mean the good kind of carbs, I just mean if you're counting carbs, regardless if they're good or bad carbs, even though I want you to obviously have good carbs. So for example, this would be 31 grams of carbs, and then it's got 10 grams of sugar. So I'm pretty much in my head, if I'm watching carbs, I'm going to add those together to be 41 grams, right? So that's quite a lot of carbs for a 3/4 cup of cereal. That's quite a bit of carbs, I think. So protein is going to be, you're going to look at the protein, there's 9 grams of protein. So 9 grams of protein, and you look at the fiber, which has 8 grams. So 9 plus 8 is 17. So you could subtract, because the fiber is pretty good in this and the protein is pretty good in this. You could subtract the protein and the fiber from the sugar and the carbs, and then you could get your net carbs. That's where they come up with net carbs. So sometimes something has carbs in it, but somehow it has a net carb value of, some of them is like even below 0. So that's that net carb if you're concerned about carbs. Now, these are, and then it shows you all the vitamins and the percentage of vitamins, and it shows you the recommended daily intake, which usually is what the government regulates, and usually you need more than that. So if you're looking at these percentages of recommended daily and you know you need something, I would take a supplement, or I would have more of whatever it is that you're trying to attain. So fiber is very, very important. There's soluble and there's insoluble, and both are very important. And I would look for, in something healthy, I would look for at least 5 grams of fiber. Let's see if this this has 8 grams of fiber. So I would look for at least 5 grams of fiber. Fiber is so important. And I would say most people are not getting enough fiber. And it's a lot of health problems are because of people not eating enough fiber. And it's so important. I would say at least 30 grams of fiber a day we should be having, even more. Right? And you have to work up to it slowly if you're having no fiber right now, because you'll get a lot of gas issues, and you'll get constipated, and you'll have all kinds of tummy troubles. So start slow with the fiber, but everybody needs to be having at least 30 grams of fiber, and I'm sure it's even gone up since that recommendation. Like, I'm sure we need more than that now. So be cognizant of that. And again, at least 5 grams of fiber, if you're looking at a product, is good. At least 5. So sugar. I'm going to say no more than 5 grams per serving. And then if you're going to have to add, if you're having double the serving, you're going to add double. So no more than 5 grams of sugar. So 1 teaspoon of sugar is equal to 4 grams of sugar. So 4 grams. So if you're eating, I don't know, let's just throw something out there, like a low-fat yogurt, and you look at the sugar and you say, oh, or you're eating any yogurt and you look at the sugar, you go, this is so healthy, and you look at the sugar, and that yogurt has 40 grams of sugar, you're eating 10 teaspoons. If that's 1 serving, you're eating 10 teaspoons. And how I relate this to people is, you take a baggie, take a teaspoon, put that many teaspoons of sugar in that baggie, and look at that baggie. Would you, like, I tell people, when you drink coffee, do you put 10 teaspoons of sugar in it? Hopefully you don't, but like it's crazy how much sugar they're putting into things. So 1 teaspoon is equal to 4 grams to keep it, and try to consume no more than 5 grams of sugar per serving of whatever you're having to keep your blood sugar in check. Protein. So I would say at least 3 to 5 grams of protein, at least. For whatever it is that you're looking at. There are a lot of things that don't have protein. A lot of things are very high in carbohydrates, packaged foods. So try to find, another good thing is I look at protein and carbs, where you would have, if something has just as much protein as it does with carbs, you'll find that generally in more healthier snacks or product, packaged food. If it's healthier, it'll have just as much protein as it does carbs. And it's very rare to find that, but you'll get used to that as you're looking at the nutritional facts on the side of the box. So they do have to put nutritional facts on food. It is regulated. They do not have to put nutritional facts on or ingredients. I'm sorry that we're getting to ingredients, but it's not regulated within the alcohol industry. So beer and wine and that scares me, because who knows what's in half the stuff. And I've read so many things, and I think they're delaying it for a reason. It's not just what we think it is anymore. But that's a whole other video. So we've gone over the nutritional facts just really quickly. Next thing is ingredients. So any packaged, any boxed or packaged item that has more than 1 ingredient has to list the ingredients. Food-wise, they have to list the ingredients. So if you buy something and it doesn't have any ingredients on it, there might be something wrong, unless there's just that in it. Like if it's just peas, there won't be anything on it because it's just peas. So anything more than 1 ingredient, they do have to list what the ingredients are. And I will tell you, as a registered holistic nutritionist, yes, all of this nutrition facts is great. I mean, if you're watching certain things, or you're in a bodybuilding championship and you need to know how many protein, like, it's great for things like that. It's great if you're dieting or you're watching, or it's great to educate yourself to see what you're eating, how much sugar you're eating, whatever it is that you need to follow for health reasons. But I think the most important thing is the actual ingredients, because the ingredients don't lie. The ingredients do not lie. So more than one ingredient must always be listed. Ingredients are listed by weight. So whatever it is the most of will be the first ingredient. So for example, this has soy flakes, whole grain oats, puffed whole grain blend, red wheat, brown rice, barley, rye. There's quite a few ingredients, not tons, but there's quite a few, so I won't read them all. And then it will say at the bottom in bold, may contain other ingredients that, some like sesame and tree nuts, because some people might be allergic to that. So you'll see that as well. So the ingredients to me do not lie on whatever the claims are here, or whatever. This might all be good. Like there might be like no sugar, but there's like chemicals in it, or there might be like sweetener in it, which is a brain toxin. Or calories might be low, but ingredients do not lie. So just checking my notes here. So ingredients are also important for vegetarians, vegans. If you have any food allergies or sensitivities, you definitely want to read the ingredients to make sure there's not something that you shouldn't be consuming in there. So very, very helpful ingredients, and very telling. So you want to try and find something that's 10 ingredients or less. When there are so many ingredients, it's generally not a good food, generally not a healthy food. And a lot of it is filler or chemicals or long words that even I don't even, like, people will ask me, what's this? And I don't even know what that is. And I went to nutrition school for 2 years, so I don't even know what that is. So, you know, like, so anyway, so 10 ingredients or less, avoid excess sugar, avoid excess anything, excess sodium, like anything added to it that shouldn't be, and it's already, you know, it's in the ingredients here. So sugar, for example, if you're trying to avoid sugar, the sugar should not have any type of sugar within the first 3 or 5 ingredients, because then you know it's mostly sugar. And it's not always going to say sugar. It might say fructose, you know, sucrose. Anything usually with an OSC is some type of sugar. So, or fake sugar. So it's some type of sugar, and that's a problem with the ingredients, is they don't always list what it is. I remember learning in school and being like devastated that MSG has like 40 something different names that they call it on ingredients. So, you know, that's pretty tough to monitor. And one of them actually is spices. Spices could actually be MSG. So they will hide things in the ingredients because they're smart. They want you to think it's healthy. They want you to buy this product. It's all about money. This is all about money. It's not really about your health for the most part. So that's sugar. Make sure it's not in the first 3 or 5 ingredients. Whole grains is a big one I get. So whole grains, this is the one that people get confused by. There are people that still think whole wheat is healthy. Whole wheat is not, it might as well be white bread. Like, it's just, whole grain is what you want if you're looking for a good carb. Whole grain in the ingredients, it should be one of the first. And this one, it's the second ingredient. So whole grain should be one of the very first ingredients if it's something that's claiming to be whole grain. So you'll see multigrain, you'll see 7 grain. It doesn't mean it's whole grain. It doesn't mean that at all. So you have to look at the ingredients. It'll be one of the first ones. It might say rolled oats as well. It might say stone ground. Stone ground, that's another way, another terminology for like whole grain. So I would look for that. Otherwise, you're basically eating unbleached flour. And they're going to call it other names. What is the one I watch? Oh, refine this and unbleach this, and, you know, and they make it sound so healthy, but it's just white flour. So if you're trying to avoid white flour, whole grain, it has to say whole grain or rolled oats or stone ground. Okay, so that's another another thing you can look at. But ingredients are the main thing to look at for health. Again, other things are helpful, but this, for example, this has a few things I don't know what they are. 1 or 2 things that I don't know what they are. And I have a nutrition degree. But this is, for most people, this is considered healthy. It is high protein and it's very high fiber, as the box suggests. There is plant protein and multigrain in it, and it is non-GMO verified. That's another thing on this that it's claiming, and it actually is non-GMO. And it's also marketed as vegan, which it is. Is this 100% like the best choice ever? Maybe not, but is it better than a lot of other cereals? Or, yeah, sure. And, you know, if you just take a little bit of this maybe and put it in some yogurt, or put it, but the thing is, the key is with stuff like this, and with most things, you have to watch your serving sizes. I mean, even if you're not watching your weight, because then you're having too much of something that's maybe not good for you. So serving sizes are important. What else did I have here? This one's very new. My sister introduced me to this. They are Nud fruit and veggie squares. I'm not affiliated with this company, but they're delicious. And the claim on them, this is a chocolate wonder. And I wondered, how is this chocolate when it's made out of fruit and vegetables? It's so weird, but it is. So they use a protein powder to get the chocolate flavor, and it's a full servings of fruit and veggies. No additives, preservatives, nuts, or gluten. So that's what the claim is on the front. I don't always believe everything, but then when I researched it, I looked at the ingredients. All the ingredients are exactly what they say on the back, and they have a picture. I just don't want to drop any on the floor. They have a picture of all the fruits and vegetables that are in it, and it's actually true when you look at the ingredients. That's actually what's in it, and I recognize all the ingredients in it. So a few other things here. This was just some rice cakes because I wanted to show that a serving was 2 and not 1. And the chocolate covered pretzels, that the information on the bag was for the whole bag, but it doesn't say that, doesn't mean that the whole bag is like the serving to be consumed. I don't know. It's very strange. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Thank you to my friend for requesting this. I hope that I gave you a few things new that you didn't know. I took for granted, I thought everybody knew this, but apparently not. And if you have anything you would like me to talk about, please contact me on my Nutrilicious page on Facebook. I'm more than willing to take suggestions or recommendations, and I really like doing these videos, and I hope you find them helpful. And you can find me on Instagram. I am Lexi Velvet on Instagram. I am Lexi Velvet here on YouTube. And I have my Nutrilicious page on Facebook. And again, welcome any suggestions or recommendations. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching. Be well, and I'll talk to you soon.